Hey guys, welcome back. I know you like, commented, and subscribed, so you are watching this next video after just watching the last one. We're talking about episode 2 of Survivor. Yep, and let's get into it. Let's get it done.
So obviously from the previous episode, Team Ica was the loser of the immunity challenge.
The loser. So hard.
Team Ica went to tribal and ended up voting off Zach. So going into this episode, I think I was a little kind of like in the dark about like how it was gonna go, because it was such an obvious elimination. The previous episode. I'm like, and a lot kind of goes down where like a lot of people could have been considered, I guess. So jumping right into, I guess we can talk about the challenge first. There's not much before that.
It was just a little back and forth. Like they showcase Marianne, just, you know, how energetic and lively she is as a person. And then they also are showcasing at the same time Miriam, who we haven't really seen, who is like the opposite personality, and getting her backstory. And her backstory is a little sad. She's a mom, but she also, her brother was a nurse that she said was like a nurse in New York at the beginning of COVID, and he was like the first healthcare worker to die of COVID. I'm just going to say I believe it. It's a very crazy statistic to hear, but someone out there is. So we're going to say that's true. That's what she said. And that's just devastating. So, but she's like, my purpose is to just kind of be here to focus on me, because I'm always putting my kids first. And I've been through a lot recently. So we kind of get to hear that, which is an interesting story.
Obviously, looking back on it now, I'm like, okay.
That was a fucking setup. That was obvious as hell.
Especially since there's not many other confessionals before the challenge.
Yeah, no, it was pretty.
It's obviously they had to focus on the game, which is more so after the challenge. But like, damn, I'm like, you include that little like heartbreaker, and then
you're like, let's go compete.
And, blind leading the blind is pretty famous. It's been around since I believe the second season. The Australian outback, and
look that shit up.
Like, it's been around since
getting there. We're
learning.
It's
been around since season 2. It's a pretty
iconic
competition.
It was iconic till we were talking before we filmed this, because obviously I'm a new Survivor person.
It's so iconic.
I was like,
so good. Iconic. But I'm going to start off by saying all of the wonderful edits of people just ramming right into a bunch of stuff. I'm going to mention Roxroy going private first right into a barrier.
Damn. That can't feel good.
No. And
pretty free and tired? No. You're pissed.
So they have one person who is basically leading
the blindfolded group. And essentially, but they're also they have to get something, take it through the obstacle course and get it to like the end. Yeah.
So the reward for this challenge was fishing equipment.
I was like, damn, no rice.
Still no rice. Which I don't believe they were withholding rice from season 41
as much. They're like,
it was more like it's bare base. It was more like you're just getting rice.
Now it's like you get nothing.
You don't get rice.
Okay. Like, I'll just eat this leaf over here.
Yeah. And again, the losing tribe has to forfeit their flint, but they can win it back the next week.
Yeah.
Same thing. Unfortunately, Taku doesn't do that great.
Not their day.
And I'm not really sure, like, I feel like going into it, I was like, they're going to do good because Jonathan's leading them.
Yeah.
And I mean, no one on their tribe really seems like that incompetent, but then for some reason it just wasn't really working out.
It didn't happen. It wasn't working.
So Team Vati ends up finishing first, followed by Aika, and Taku is left in last, which means that they have to give up their flint.
Yep, and they gotta
this loser, Team Aika, gets their flint back. And now they get fishing gear along with Vati. So no one really gets blamed. No, it's more of like a team, like
that's the funny thing is I would assume, not to say that I wanted him to be, but I would assume you would blame like Jonathan.
Because he's the one leading everyone else.
But he was good. I don't want
to say it like he's like the guy doing a lot of the work for their tribe though. So like I don't think they want to be like, yeah, Jonathan, you need to go. And then they're going to be like, shit, we need Jonathan back.
You come back?
Yeah, I mean, I personally think that this tribe is like a strong competitive threat based off of the previous week. It's just this competition in particular just didn't end up working for them.
Win them all.
So then we get to see
them go back to camp, and it's sort of like it's coming down to Miriam and Marianne, which like we said, okay, so that was a setup from the beginning for us, but it was basically like I still don't really know how they came to that reasoning. Like I got the Marianne one a little bit just because sometimes a really loud, bubbly personality is not for everyone in a high environment, because I could see that, like, okay, some people are like, shut the fuck up. Like I wouldn't be. I would love her. I think she's great, but some people wouldn't be about that. And then they're also like, she's young and she's kind of a lot and she's emotional. So then they were kind of trying to target her, but then I don't really get how they decided like Miriam was the target.
I feel like, I don't know. I think because Marianne didn't really do much campaigning.
Yeah, it was very
that I can think of. It was more so like the tribe just kind of switched from Marianne to Miriam.
It was like the same freaking names.
I know, it's
come on. It's like having two Derek's. Definitely didn't need both of them there. Big brother, I'm looking at you.
Real quick, just a sidebar. Going over to Team Vati for a second, we have to talk about Mike and his little moment.
I love him, but what the fuck?
Okay, so we have Mike, who's like this like super tough, like East Coast guy, and
wasn't he a retired firefighter? I know he was a firefighter.
Yeah. He is kind of, he's like out just like in the jungle, and he finds the
Beware idol, right?
Beware advantage. It's the whole thing from last season of like, you have to wait till everyone else finds theirs before
it's activated. You have to say this weird statement, and if someone says their other part, then they have it. If all three say it, you're good, it's activated. Like
and again, his whole statement really isn't that weird, and like I honestly feel like it's kind of stupid, the whole don't you think like broccoli is just like little trees, or like like the most random things, whereas like his is, there is such grace in the game of soccer, it makes me cry. Like it's just kind of stupid. Like it's not like wacky and like funny, but like it's more just like, that's a weird sentence, okay.
I'd
I
be
wonder
like,
if they mess up because they did something like this in Big Brother Canada, where they were like, I think it was the first season where Peter had to go around and like say random sentences within like a conversation like 3 times, so they won like a little like beer and pizza party or something.
oh yeah, yeah.
And like he had to keep going back to the DR to check what the sentence was.
So, sentence again.
He was like, oh, sorry, I need to read this again. Can I take it with me? No? Okay.
Are not for you, bruh.
So okay. He finds it, yada yada yada, everything gets explained. Then he comes back and it's like he has like, I guess like he's like being forced to like tell everybody for some reason. He runs up to this person, he's like, hey, guess what? Ooh, look at this. Oh, hey, you stop, look at, I have this thing. Hey, I don't really know like how to feel about this. I 100% know that this would be me on the show, because
He hit
I
it
would be like,
and I was like, what the frick?
oh yeah, then he hides it and then can't remember where he put it.
Ugh.
I'm sure the
like,
producers behind the scenes were like, what the fuck is he doing? They were like, is it not in play anymore? Like, do we take it? Like, I don't know.
hide it? Or is anyone ever gonna find
Do
it?
we like give it back to him? I don't know. We're like, hey, Mike, we're over here, right by this bush.
He's like, which
Maybe you
bush?
want to check the bush? And he's like, dude, I definitely put it in a tree somewhere. Like,
They're like, yeah, it was one of the cringy kind of moments. Like, come on. I was like, you have these little freaking tight ass boxer little briefs on and you couldn't have tucked it in there. Like, why did you leave it at the tree? He's like, I don't think I buried it this deep. I'm like, what the fuck?
I wish they had an Amazing Race moment where like he was digging one place and then the camera was just like, looking down where it was.
That's what, like, it was like mind numbing. Like, what the fuck? And it was just being this tough guy to like, you all right? Like, I was like, what's going on? But I still like him. That moment was hard to watch. I was like, this is for real. He really lost the idol, but he already told them he had the idol. Like, what are you doing? What are we doing? Why are we here?
Yeah. And then I guess someone said Daniel brought out a legal pad out to Fiji. Wait.
I'm confused.
He apparently brought it out as like a if he got an idol, it meant 2 other players were also getting idols. I don't know.
I'm confused.
He wanted to, Daniel was saying like if
I'm as confused as Mike was.
Okay. I'm gonna cut all that.
Yeah, because I'm confused.
I'm gonna say Daniel was saying if it's something that needs to be activated, he wants to get rid of Mike so that the other 2 don't get activated.
Yeah. So Mike thought it was a good idea to tell Daniel and try to get Daniel on his side, and it was actually a very bad idea to tell Daniel.
Yeah, because as soon as Daniel heard that, he was like, okay.
Daniel was like, okay, he gotta go.
And
he was like, don't say it at when we go. You just hold on to it so no one knows. And Mike's like, yeah, it's a good idea. Daniel's like, get this motherfucker out. He's done. You're cooked.
And then Mike's gonna hear like a random sentence and he was like, fuck.
Oh, we forgot to mention in the last episode, it was in the last episode, the first episode, we do find out that Daniel is a survivor of childhood leukemia. And that was another like sad moment in the first episode. But I mean, he's completely cured and he's good. And so that's great.
It's just in the first episode, Mike asks him like, oh, is it okay if I ask like where that scar on your chest is from, and he said it's actually from childhood leukemia. And
I was about to, I was like, okay, I'm done. Mom's gonna cry now. I can't watch this shit.
Yeah.
But it was so sweet though, also because he said like he would be in the hospital and he'd be watching Survivor, and that was something that got him through it. And I'm like, I do really love those stories, and I think it's really sweet that like he's a little quirky, you know, so it's also like someone like that gets on the show, gets to live their dream, they survived this, and now they can be an example to some other little kid like them. And I do really like that. And I know they push those stories a little bit too, but
but they
it.
don't do it in too cheesy of a way. They do it
Not,
in like a pretty
not,
genuine way.
not on Amazing Race and not on Survivor. I've seen it be cheesy on some other stuff like American Idol and like Big Brother. Even sometimes I'm like, okay, we're getting a little cheesy, you know?
Yeah. Whereas here,
it was a good moment. I was as a mom, I was about to be like, I'm gonna fucking cry. I'm just like thinking of my kid, you know, or kids.
Yeah.
Like
Survivor and Amazing Race do a good job of not sulking in it too much to the point to where it's like you don't want to watch anymore, but like just enough to like inspire you to like root for them, or like now you understand them more, and now you'll be able to appreciate that when you see them in the game.
No, I agree. I think both shows so far on what we've watched when they've covered it have done just a phenomenal job with that. It's not cheesy, it's not over the top, it's not depressing as hell, it's not weird. Like they make it work. The editing is well done. They make it work.
And it's similar also, we didn't mention Marianne in episode 1 getting kind of like a bio. Her family being from Kenya, and like she said that she was bullied a lot as a kid.
Because she's out there. She's got a lot of energy.
And when you're going through school and a lot of people are depressed and not in the mood to be around a bubbly person,
they're mean.
And
they're mean.
I'm glad that she's been able to persevere and is still herself.
And I love that she says, if a weird person like me can be on Survivor, then other weird people can be themselves. And to be honest with you, usually shit like that, I'm like, okay, like that's cute, you know, but like for whatever reason, like I was like, I fucking loved that.
I genuinely like Marianne a lot, and I'm really glad she was able to survive this episode.
She's one of those people that I'm just like, I love you. Like, I love you. I don't care. Maybe you could be annoying sometimes. I don't care. You can tell you're just a genuine freaking person. And I love that. And I love that, like you said, the bullying that she's been through has not changed her. She is still her, and she's out here. Because if more people did that, the world would be a better place. It really, because too many people get the originality bullied and knocked out of them by the time they get to a point where they'd be on a show like this. And it's just inspiring because it makes, you know, I think all of us do have versions of that within ourselves that we probably let that light dim because of bullying or because of watching someone else be bullied for being like that, not being brave enough to just be yourself. And it's nice to see a genuine person like that. That's why I'm very happy with how this episode ended.
We cut, or I'm going to jump to Team Ica with Drea starting an all-female alliance with Swati and what's her face?
Don't ask
Tori.
me.
Swati and Tori.
I'm gonna get there. Right now, guys, I am not there on the names.
I have references in front of me, so like I don't have like this off the top of my head.
Oh.
But she decides like, okay, I'm going to make this all-female alliance, and we have another person disclose something. She doesn't disclose everything. She discloses that she has an extra vote. She doesn't say anything about the amulet. She just says, or does she even mention like, oh, like when I went up to the summit, like I got an extra vote basically. And I don't know. It's like, I get it. The season's moving fast, but I'm like, why are these people telling
people it's gonna get sloppy? It's gonna come back to bite you in the ass. I guarantee. Like, look at Mike. It's already biting him in the ass. We even get of the next episode, and it looks like it really starts to bite him in the ass.
Yeah.
Will he survive it? I don't know. They like to clickbait a little bit, but.
And I will say, I think Hai has laid low, and Lindsay has laid low, especially.
They were part of that little group.
I think because Drea has both.
And she's also.
This doesn't make sense. If she has both, why would you disclose even one of those? Because now if other people find out about that one, that's going to make you more suspicious about something else too.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have told anyone, to be honest. But I feel like maybe it's just like, I think people sometimes do use that as a form of,
I'm building this connection with you. Yeah. Like, I told you this information. Now we can trust each other.
Yeah, because I didn't have to tell you this. And I told you that. But
it's hard because it's like,
you're special. Let's do this. But it's also, that's very.
If you don't have anything like that, even if you do have something like that, that doesn't mean it's a go ahead to like trust somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't work out for Xander last season. Everyone was like, oh, get him out, even after he was honest. But
that's
or no,
true.
he kind of lied about it. But
I mean, he fucked it up, then he tried to fix it, and then Xander still should have won, but whatever.
Yeah. Whatever. We get a little bit of a Omar, Jonathan kind of scene. Like they're talking about how they're not alike at all, but like they're kind of
bonding,
growing it up.
Which is true, because we do get a moment where Omar talks about his religion and how he chooses to live and how that's important for him and how that kind of separates him from some people a little bit. And then we also do get a moment with Hai where he's vegan and he's struggling because people are eating the fish and he's like, I can't eat the fish. But then he's like, do I go against, like, because to me, okay, so if you're like vegan and you've been vegan your whole life, you can't eat that fish, like, because that's not going to help you. You're just going to get sick. So if he's debating, that means he's like at the most a couple of years into being vegan, because if you've been like grew up vegan or if you've been vegetarian like I am,
your stomach changes. It doesn't like
not going to be able to digest that in the course of the 27 days you're there. You would just be sick. So it wouldn't even help you to eat it. It would actually be worse. But so the fact that he was debating and it was upsetting to him that he might have to break his veganism to sustain himself lets me know that maybe the veganism isn't necessarily something he's been doing for a super, super long time, but it's important to him. And it's very like, it was hard for me. He's crying. And I understand, because if you feel like this is something that's important to you, but it's also like, I mean, he's a tiny guy already. So it's like, you can't waste away.
And I think he was banking on the fact of there being rice.
And there was nothing. There's been nothing.
And that's, I mean, rightfully so. It's like, that's kind of like the precedent, but for them to not have any food resources other than basically fish at the moment.
Fruit if you can find it.
Fruit and like some leaves, like it's not great. And I feel like, I don't know if his tribe is like the type to be like, oh, like we'll try to win a reward challenge to get food or like whatever, but like I feel like he kind of is keeping it to himself in a sense, probably because it's just like,
it's almost like something you could use against someone. Like, well, you're going to be too weak to be here, so we got to get rid of you. Yeah, you don't want to give.
But in my mind, I'd be like, that's more food for me.
Damn.
I'd be like, if you're not going to eat the fish, I'll eat the fish.
Like,
but like, I guess it could be seen as a negative and a positive of like, if he's able to somehow manage and persevere, that's badass. But if he's going to crash and burn, and he's not going to be able to sustain himself, he's going to get irritable, he's going to not be able to compete,
That's not good.
Yeah. But he always does have the amulet in the back of his pocket if he
Needed to
ever
save
feels like he's in danger, you know? So I think then we can do the immunity challenge. Yeah.
Didn't we already talk about it? It was the blind leading the blind.
Oh, we did. Okay,
Yeah.
so then the tribal council.
We have tribal.
So again, Team Taku. And as we already mentioned, it's between Marianne and
Miriam.
Miria.
I think it was honestly going to be Marianne. I don't know. I feel like we'll find out in the next episode when we get a confessional afterwards and stuff, but she earned, because she went on the summit, she earned an extra vote. And so it was only needed 3 votes to get rid of someone. And I believe it looked like to me that she used her 2 votes. Miriam used her shot in the dark. Same thing happened that happened to Zach. Unfortunately, it did not save her. I think it was smart that she used it because she knew it was kind of going either way. And
well, also want to bring up the fact Marianne, oh my God, Marianne, Drea, and what's her face? Why can't I think of her? Jenny.
mm-hmm.
The same thing from previous season where like a boat came and they were like, send one of your tribe members off to the boat. Marianne, Drea, and Jenny ended up doing the same thing. It's either risk a vote or save your vote, basically.
Mm-hmm.
If you risk your vote and one person saves it or 2 people save it, the person who risks it will have an extra vote. And Drea and Marianne,
you don't find out till you go to tribal.
Drea and Marianne both risked it, and Jenny was like, I feel like they're going to risk it, and like I just can't take that chance. And like rightfully so, she is not in any sort of situation of being in danger.
Yeah.
And I feel like for her to have risked her vote, I feel like it wouldn't have been like, obviously she wasn't going to tribal like this week, but it's like she also doesn't seem like she's going to be in any sort of danger.
Mm-mm.
At least in the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
I just forgot to mention that real quick. So that is going to be a thing again, carrying over from season 41, mm-hmm. Which I don't mind. I think it's cool to see the tribe interactions.
Yeah, because that till the merge, so it's nice to have. It makes it more interesting.
It makes the merge more interesting because it's like, okay, now
what's gonna happen?
That's how we got relationships like Shan and
what's her name?
Remember her name?
I can't remember right now either, but I know like it was
those
Ender.
Yeah.
I really liked her too. What was her name? You're looking it up.
Oh my God. Leanna.
Leanna. Okay, now that sounds right. I was gonna say Rachel. So shows how much I know.
I had to look that up real quick. There's nothing wrong with using your resources, especially when you're kind of struggling.
Like,
so yeah, basically, I think had Marianne not chosen to go off to the summit, might have gone home.
I do think she might have went home. It seemed like they got enough people that were leaning more towards Miriam that if she didn't have something that kind of saved her like that, I think she might have gone. Yeah. So yeah, Miriam gets eliminated. And
yeah, she ended up playing shot in the dark, did not get it, so gave up her vote. And again, another full vote for her to go.
Yeah.
I think
I'm happy. I liked Marianne more. It's Marianne more. It's just hard because it's so early. You don't know enough of the people really that it's like I can't decide if one over the other really should have stayed, but I definitely was leaning more towards Marianne. That's what I wanted. So I am happy.
Yeah, and I will say,
Lindsay was pissed. She was mad. You could
yeah,
tell.
but like,
She's gonna have to get over it, but she was mad. She was like, fuckers.
I think it's interesting that the shot in the dark has already been played twice.
Yeah, and still never seen it work. Not last season, not this season. Never seen it work.
There was something with Deshaun didn't play shot in the dark, but he had like some sort of thing, but it was more of like a 50-50.
Yeah. And
or I guess like, I don't know. I just think the shot in the dark thing shouldn't be a dice. I don't know. Like, or it should be like 2 of the 6 sides. However many sides are on a cube. I can't like.
Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely very it just
seems like there's, okay, I know it's 1/6 chance, whatever, but it's like
it's very slim. It's
3 people have done it. It's like, okay, I'm hoping the next 3 people that do it, someone wins. Otherwise, the probability is not going well.
Get rid of it because it's not doing anything.
So as we mentioned, some of the teaser shows Mike kind of getting some heated feedback.
Not going well for Mike in the preview, so we'll see.
I'm not gonna lie though, I would love to see some drama, especially around him, just because it'll be at least somewhat justified of like, okay, he was kind of not the brightest when it came to getting the advantage. So if he ends up getting like chewed out by his tribe or like something ends up going down, I'll be kind of like, okay, well, what did you expect?
But I do like him. So
but I also do like Daniel.
Yeah, me too.
And Daniel's kind of the spearhead right now. Yeah, no, he definitely is the one that was like, we can't have him in the game or have a chance, or okay, it's like get rid of one of our own members, but like that prevents 3 idols from coming into the game. I feel like that's a pretty good trade-off, you know?
Yeah, I mean, he's smart. It makes sense. So we'll see. But for you to see and hear what we have to say, you need to like, comment, share, subscribe. We will see you all next week. Yes.